Hey there, this is Peter and welcome to another Take a Break with Valley CAD. So in this session, what we're going to be working through is another design challenge. Now this design challenge, we're going to actually break it up into two sessions. I did a design challenge for you recently and it went a little bit longer than your normal coffee break, right? So we're going to break this up, just to make it a little bit easier to digest. Now this part that I'm going to be working at, it's actually going to look like this part right here. It's going to be a little catch tray that we're going to be working on and seeing how we're going to model this using solid modeling and also straight on surface modeling. So today's video is going to be about solid modeling and utilizing a little bit of surfacing, but not a lot. So go get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and I'll see you in SOLIDWORKS in just a click. Hey there, welcome to SOLIDWORKS. So here's the part file. Yeah, it has some cool geometry to it, right? It looks like a standard kind of like slot shape on there. But what's unique about it is how we have this surface that's going down at an angle down to the other side. And also as we look at this, there's not straight walls on this. It's actually tapering in a little bit. And here I'll show you a section view on that too. So you can see how that looks like in this angle, but also how this might look if we look at it from another side. Now, you're gonna see my design tree as I'm doing this too. So as we come in here, we're gonna look at our right side and you'll see here how this is coming down at a certain angle as well. Now, with that picture that you see above my head here, this is one that we found online and saw it as like, you know what, this could be a really fun design challenge. And so, like I said, this one we're gonna be looking at solid modeling. And so you can see my design tree here, how I went about modeling this. And we're gonna open up a brand new part file and we're gonna try to work through this together. So I'll see you on that new file in 3, 2, 1, now, right? All right. Here we go. So a new part file opened up. So when I come into something like this, what I'm gonna do first is actually create an offset plane. So from there, what I'm gonna use is my top plane. Then from here, I'm gonna hold down Control, click and drag up, and we'll make this so it's going up 2 inches overall. And then from there, say okay to that. Now after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in and start sketching out our profiles. So what we're gonna do first is utilize my top plane, and we're gonna create a new sketch on that. And in this scenario, we're gonna do a simple slot command. I'm gonna do a center end slot. So we're gonna make this one so it's vertical. And then from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this up to be in a width of 2 inches. And then from there to here, we're gonna make that so it's 16 inches. And then from there, say okay to that and get out of the sketch. All right, now what we're gonna do next is come on to that new plane that I created called plane number 1. We're gonna do another boss base extrusion. So I'm gonna push S for shortcut key and simply do a boss base extrude. Then from there, what I wanna do is create a slot command. So I'm gonna use the S key again. There's my slot command. I'm gonna do a center corner style again. And then from here, we're gonna make another vertical one and make it like so. I'm gonna make it so that my endpoints are the same as my first sketch, all right? And from there, I need to specify how wide do I want this. So in this scenario, we'll simply make this one so it's 4 inches outside. Now, you might look at this and say, well, Peter, what if you came in and did an offset entities from your original sketch? Yeah, I could have done that. I would have to change my design intent of saying, okay, I want this to be offsetting always 2 inches greater or something like that. So you could definitely have done that. In this scenario, I just made it so it's 4. So it's an independent value. But if you did want to link these together, you could easily double click on sketch number 1 and say, hey, I want this value to always equal this times 2 or always be a third of the size larger. That way, all I have to do is update that very first sketch, updates everything else for it too. All right, then from here, we'll simply say okay to that. So here are my 2 sketches. And I'm sorry, I did a boss base extrude. I did not mean to do that. I just needed to create a new sketch because instead of doing a boss base extrude, what we're actually gonna do is a lofted boss base. So a lofted boss base, how this works is it takes 2 sketch profiles and extends them and transitions nicely between each one. Now, whenever you're doing a loft, it is recommended that you have the same number of entities per sketch segment that gets transitioned between each one. So as we look at this, my top slot has 4 entities. It has 1 arc, another line, the second arc, and then the second line. And in my very first sketch that I have is a very same set of entities. So when you do this, you want to just simply click in the same general area of both sketches. And then SOLIDWORKS will come in and it'll transition nicely between the two profiles. From there, simply say okay to that. All right, now what we're gonna do next is we're gonna come in, and what we need to do is create that cut in that's going in, right? But you're going, well, wait a minute, Peter, that has a slant there. Don't worry, that's gonna be coming up at the very end here. So now what we're gonna do next is come in and create another plane off of my top plane. And in this scenario, we'll make this come up, we'll just say it'd be 1/2 inch at this time. Perfect. So now what we're gonna do is create a new sketch on that one. And what we're gonna actually end up doing with this is another loft, but instead of doing a loft boss base extrude, we're gonna do a lofted cut. So in this scenario, we're gonna create another slot shape. From here, we'll simply say from there to there, cool deal, and say, oh, sorry, I got too excited. I always do that, man. All right, so now what we're gonna do is try this again. You know, practice makes permanent, right? So in this scenario, we're gonna set it up so that from here to here, it's gonna be at 1/4 inch, like so. Ooh, it's a little thin, but don't worry. We're gonna see what this will actually do for us. So 1/4 inch, and then from here, what I wanna do is simply see my sketch number 1. So I'm gonna say show to that. And then from there, I'm gonna utilize my existing sketch to lock this new one. And from there, simply say okay to that. All right, cool. Now, the next one. We're gonna come in here and create another sketch, okay, on my top surface. In this scenario, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an offset entities in. All right, so face selected, say offset entities, and we're gonna come in, we'll come in on this scenario an 1/8 inch. Why not? Or, you know what? Let's have fun with it. Let's make it so it's 3/16 inch. Living on the wild side a little bit. All right, anyways, we'll simply say okay to that. Now, I'm not gonna say okay and be done with this command. What I wanna do next is actually change this arc here. I actually wanna offset this a little bit more. Because if you look at the picture above me, the slot that has it to where the face comes up to the top edge, it's not a perfect round on it. They're not concentric to each other. It's actually offset just a hair. So we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna simply say, you know what, let's do another arc command, and we'll do a 3-point arc. We'll click and then come off like so. In this scenario, I wanna make it so that these guys are gonna be tangent to each other. And then by making them tangent, it'll be very easy to decide how much of an offset do I want from my original. In this scenario, we're gonna come in, we're gonna say from here to here, and sorry, I'm gonna hold down shift this time, hold down shift, click and then click, and we'll make it so that it comes off 7/8 inch, like so. All right, cool deal. And then we'll simply say okay to that. All right, so now that we have our next set of profiles here, what we wanna do is do a lofted cut. So we're gonna come back up to features, and we're not gonna do adding material, we're gonna come over here to remove material. So lofted cut, exact same procedure as when we were adding material. We wanna select the two kind of general areas, and I just select those 2 endpoints there. And as we come in, we're gonna say cut on that and say okay. So now as we look at this, you'll see that SOLIDWORKS came in and it cut out my geometry. All right, cool. So now, kind of the hybrid part, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in and create a sketch line that's coming in at an angle on our right plane. And with this sketch, what we're actually gonna end up doing is making a surface extrusion from it. So coming in here, what we wanna do is use a line command. Very simple, just coming in here like so, and we'll click away like that. Now here's kind of the trick that I wanna do. I wanna add a point to this. Now this point is just gonna be floating wherever I want. And what I wanna end up doing is tell this point to pierce on that inside arc like so. I'm okay with this thing extending out however far. Then I wanna do the same thing with this point and this arc here and tell those two to pierce as well. All right, so now we have that set up. We're gonna make this line so it extends out a little bit further. And you know, we could fully define this in some way by saying, hey, let's draw in a center line and draw it from here and have this lock down and pierce onto this outside rim. Once again, it's just fully defining it. I really don't care where it actually terminates as long as it extends beyond this point, all right? So from there, we simply say okay to that. Now with this sketch number 5 created, what we're gonna do is come under my surfaces command. We're gonna do a simple extruded surface. We're gonna say do a mid plane on this, And all I need to do is just make it so it extends beyond my geometry. Okay, so I need to come out a little bit more up here. There we go. So now it's extending beyond my geometry entirely. Perfect. So now the fun part, we get to utilize the intersect command. So intersect, how this works is we'll come up here under our features command, coming up over towards the middle here and click on intersect. So with intersect command, I've done this video or shown this feature before. You select on surfaces, bodies, planes, whatever you want to use. So I'm going to say my surface body here and this solid body and say intersect. Then from there, all I need to do is say, you know what, I want to consume surfaces on this one and say okay to that. Then from there, you'll see that I have my final part. Now, the other things that we could do here is add some fillets to it, you know, to kind of smooth it out a little bit, but it kind of matches close to, you know, the picture that we're using as an example there. So that's how I would come in and make kind of a complex part like that. The main feature that is like the hero in this is gonna be your intersect command. So you can kind of see how it didn't take too many features to make this part actually. So hopefully you got something pretty cool out of that. Come back for part 2 on this, and we'll be looking at surface modeling on it. Now, the surface modeling part, yeah, it's gonna take a little bit more. Just a little bit, right? All right, well, once again, my name is Peter Estes. Thank you for taking a break with Valley CAD here. If you are enjoying these videos, please click that thumbs up button. Also click subscribe so you can get notified for our future videos. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy that cup of coffee, and we'll be seeing you soon. And also, make sure you learn something new. See ya.